G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to War Thunder. Today we're going to have a look at a pretty fun lineup that I've managed to get my hands on through the Gaijin Partnership Program, and that is a lineup entirely consisting of premiums. Look at it, it's beautiful. So as you can see, M26A1, or the E1 rather, PV2D, A2D, King Cobra, T114, and T29. I could also add things like the Super Hellcat if I wanted. I could also add the T30, but I'm going to stick with a 6-man lineup. I have my T114, and I'm going to take that out first because I'm on Maginot, and Maginot seems to be a map where if I can get into a close quarter engagement, then I don't really need to bother with having to deal with certain T54s. Also, I am bottom tier, so yeah, I don't really want to be having long-range sniper duels with T54s in my T29, and I certainly don't want to have to deal with them in a Pershing. You can see the only thing that I'm really looking at is something that can sling heat around and something that can do some heavy penetration to tanks that, I guess, are a bit heavy armored. And that's exactly what I need. T114, it's pretty quick, it's pretty fun, probably not worth your money though. 8,000 GE, I wouldn't pay that. I really wouldn't. But the tank itself is a lot of fun. If you have some spare GE lying around for some odd reason, maybe you're a tournament player and you have a heap of GE lying around, maybe you could pick it up. Play 6.7, it's pretty fun. It's definitely a meme vehicle. I definitely wouldn't grind with it. It is not worth it in the slightest. But it is interesting. And I'm happy to show it on the channel because, you know, maybe if you've got some spare GE lying around, like I said, I don't know why you would, but yeah, the T114, 3-round mag with heat shell 105. It's kind of weird. It's like a very low velocity heat shell because it's on a recoilless rifle. And obviously recoilless rifles are really bad for long range. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit in B, and there's a little hill just on the enemy side of B where maybe I can get some shots onto people who are trying to camp hills. And essentially, in a light tank, what I want to do is I want to weed out campers. I want to see if I can spot them for my team. Maybe I can, kill them. Maybe I can flank them. Get on the sneaky side. And in the process, I can do some capturing of zones. So I jump into a capture zone straight to B. And as you can see, B is a little town. The little town has lots of close angles, so my low gun velocity doesn't really matter here. And the penetration, obviously being a heat shell at range, I don't think it matters either. But there's a BT5 who's looking to get some P8 memes in. Goodbye, don't you fucking dare. So there goes him. And I get to capture my B point, which is lovely. You can see on the bottom of the screen that I'm reloading a ready rack at the same time. And yes, this thing does have a 3-round ready rack, which is the magazine. Having to reload straight from the inside of the tank from the second stage of ammunition is really, really painful. This is just, it's kind of awful to be honest, because you've got so much time that's wasted, and it's a heat shell. So if it doesn't really do the damage in the first go, you're really in some shit. You've really got to pick it up somehow, and if you don't hit an ammo rack or a breach or something like that, you'll see here in this engagement with the Panther 2, I managed to hit the loader and the horizontal turret drive, and then the second time I go for the ammunition with the reload. And now I'm starting to get low on my clip, and I see behind me, there's a T-54 1949, manages to completely clap me with one shot. So hopefully that T-34 or T-29 or whatever gets him from behind, but I've got a cap and I've got a kill, which gives me enough spawn points to get into my A2D Skyshark. And this thing is another really interesting premium. This one I would say is worth it. If you really want something to grind out rank 4 to get rank 5, or you need, something to grind your attackers out, maybe you want to get the FJ4 for a higher tier, or you want to do something nice, I would say that the A2D is quite a nice plane for this sort of stuff. The A2D for me is something that can pretty much do heavy ground strike. It's kind of like an AD4, but faster, and doesn't have the wing loading, so it doesn't turn quite as nice. It's very, very heavy and relies extremely heavily on its engine. So if you've got any engine damage, you will end up suffering. So that's a bit of a downside to it. Speaking of downsides, this bomb, I don't know what the hell it does, and this leopard is going to give me problems with my cast run because he just manages to avoid everything. I'm looking at something that might be in the A cap, and I can see it there behind the house. That's a common camping spot for people who are trying to take that point on that side, so I naturally look there first. Easy bomb, easy kill on a stationary target. These 500-pound bombs are actually quite good, but you need to be able to aim them, so if you can't aim them, then you're going to start struggling. You really need to, get some practice in. And that's when you can really start to make this thing shine. I would also recommend in the A2D reducing the amount of vertical turns that you do and keeping them horizontal, because this thing seems to perform somewhere in between the realms of a jet and a prop. As you can see, I'm going after the second leopard. I believe it's the same leopard, and I completely miss because he manages to avoid my shots. He's probably got that damaged turret ring from someone else and is backing up just by coincidence. But now that I know he's on the repair, I can start to get a little cheeky bomb off on him, but not before taking out whatever this might be, and I believe it is a Panther. He's been set on fire. I don't want him to fire back at my enemies, so I put a nice little bomb in, and it's a T-54 that I take out. It's a weird camo, or at least weird on the video preview. By the way, I am using a different editing software, so do let me know how that looks and how that seems. The quality on the preview window seems to be alright. I am yet to see how it pans out on YouTube, so do let me know. Anyway, back to the A2D. Notice how I've done a slight vertical climb and then a horizontal turn. I really don't want to be turning too much in this thing in the vertical because I will lose a lot of energy very quickly. I come in nice and low to get this leopard, finally finish him off, and there he goes. So, a neat little 3 kills. It could have been 6, but my bombs were potato, just like me. And now I've got a duel with a Yak 9T. I know the Yak 9T is pretty decent, and I want to quickly get him in the first shot. So I basically kill all my energy in a vertical, and I get some sparks. So here we go again, Guardian. I go for the next re-engagement, and I go to shoot. I completely potato all my shots. So this is where it's starting to get hairy. You can see he's starting to turn on the inside of me, and I can't really do a whole lot. He manages to snipe my tail control with a 37, and he manages to set me on fire at the same time. There's no recovering from that, and I just bail out of the plane. Well done to the Act 9. That was a much better engagement than I could hope for, well, on his part. So now I'm left with a bit of a choice. Do I go T29? Do I go M26? Basically, I look at my team and I see that we've got all 3 caps and we're starting to push them out of the map, so I think we continue with the CAS. Because the T29 just wouldn't be... It doesn't have that cleanup factor that CAS does. And that's exactly what I use CAS for. To either root out campers or to clean up the enemy team. And here we go in the PV2, which is an event plane. You can actually pick this up on the market. It's not that great, to be honest. But I will say, just as a general thing about the lineup itself, it is not an overpowered lineup. It's not a pay-to-win lineup as such. I would say there are certain things that are a little bit better than their tech tree counterparts. For example, the AD4 is not as good as the A2D, but at the same time, the AD4 or the A2D has a higher battle rating. So you're almost comparing apples and oranges here. It's not quite the same as the other one, and one sits at a whole battle rating lower. I think the equivalent... There really is no equivalent to the A2D, but there are replacements or side grades, if you will. You can always use a jet if you're at a higher BR, like an F-84B, or you can alternatively use something like the AD2, A26. You can use fighters. The Americans have really good CAS fighters. Things like the Corsair has 6 or 7 bombs, plus it's got way better fighter capabilities. So, you have options there. It's not entirely exclusive, and I think that's really nice. The PV2D as well is really fat, and unless you have total air superiority like I do now, and no AA up, you'll see in a bit where there is some AA. They have to be pretty heavily distracted before they can actually, the PV2D can actually shine. And this is exactly what's happening here. So I'm in a little dive, I guess, on this Jagdtiger. The Jagdtiger's pretty oblivious. He's facing up against an M46, and that's kind of an even fight. So what I want to do is I want to make that fight a little bit less even and bomb the Jagdtiger. And there he goes. The AA is starting to light me up now, so what I have to do is I have to be really careful. I have to get out of there. The PV2D is slow. It's a big target, and I need to make my way out of the AO as fast as I can, really, and sort of get my ass out of there. There are no fighters up for the enemy team, and there are plenty of our fighters, including A2Ds, etc. And the A2D, I think he's strafed, that AA. So the AA is a little bit distracted. There's another P51 drawing his attention, and this allows me to try and get a couple of rockets off, but again, they turn straight for me, light me up, and I have to get out of there, hit the WEP, and they damage my fuselage. The fuselage actually seems to be really tanky on the PV2D, but at the same time, it's really, really difficult to, I guess, maneuver out of the way. It's just such a big target. The PV2D is actually fairly well balanced. It's a 3.3, so it doesn't really belong at this BR, but at the same time, it has the bomb load for me, and I was looking for a dedicated bomber, rather, for Cass, just to round up the lineup. I really do enjoy this lineup, because it's a good silver lion grinder, and if you have one or two premiums at the same battle rating, it is actually quite fun to take them out, especially if they're, German or American, because they seem to get the best all-around premium lineups, and I wonder why, Gaijin. But in all seriousness, it's pretty manageable fighting these tanks. It's not really hard to take out a T114. Maybe it is in a King Tiger or a Jagdtiger, but at the same time, if you're in a Kugel Blitz, it's an easy job. Alternatively, the PV2D is pretty good when you take out two distractive AA. And it's just, in general, this whole lineup is kind of fun. It's not overpowered at all. I would say it's more fun. It's good for grinding Silver Lions. I make 100k in this match. And, if you're always struggling to grind out something, and you have a couple of premiums at the same BR, go for it. Anyway, ladies and gents, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I'll catch you next time.